Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
A new WWE signing has been revealed. I am Chubba Pequenell. This is Randy Andy Datson. Welcome to the WrestleTalk podcast review of SmackDown. Please give this video a like, give it a subscribe. Check out WrestleTalk clips for the announcement of the show we're hosting on Monday, the No Fans Monday, where we can help support the independent wrestlers that are missing out on bookings during this time. But first, let's talk about SmackDown. Let's talk about this signing that was supposedly revealed. So this all started on WWE Backstage, where Ryan Satin revealed that WWE and Rob Gronkowski, who is a former NFL, he played in a certain position, tight back, something like that.
Linebacker.
Was it that?
Tight end.
Tight end? Tight backer? I don't know NFL. He's a former NFL player.
Tight end.
Tight end. Tight sex tape. He used to play NFL as a tight end, supposedly one of the best of all time. Very popular in American media. Really hasn't reached over to the UK here, but yeah, he who was featured on WrestleMania 33, he got involved in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. He took down Jinder Mahal and helped Mojo Rawley win because they're apparently best buds. Ryan Satin reported on WWE Backstage this week that he was close to a deal with WWE, and he'd be potentially going to SmackDown. There were a lot of reports about that, saying that he's already signed because why would they promote it if he hadn't already? And he's probably only going to be around for a couple of matches. But on SmackDown itself, Mojo Rawley went out on the impromptu commentary table of Michael Cole and Triple H because this was the episode that was emanating from the WWE Performance Center because of COVID and stuff. They've had to relocate. But Mojo Rawley, who's actual best buds with the Gronk, came out and he was saying that the rumors are true. He's not signed yet.
The Gronky Tonk Man is here. And
that was a good one.
It's not, I don't claim that one.
That was a very good one.
I've seen that one.
Whoever it was that came up with that was very good.
But yeah, so I feel like, yeah, he'll be here for a couple of matches. His offense will be entirely running into people.
Totally, that's what he does,
it'll
right?
It'll be shoulder barges, and his finisher probably some kind of pounce, or maybe he'll just grab a football and throw it in their face,
like a tackle. So it'd be kind of like a running spine buster kind of thing. He'll just kind of pick someone up and then plonk them down, kind of like a spear, but like carrying.
He'll whip out
first.
his helmet and and he'll bash someone over the head with it.
Yep, that's exactly how it works. But Mojo said he is going to be on SmackDown next week, which kind of goes against the thing saying that he hasn't signed, because he totally has. Where would he be on SmackDown if he hadn't signed? He's going to be on the show next week regardless, probably to set up. Reports are saying that he's not going to have a match at WrestleMania. He might be on the show in some regard, if the show even happens.
It won't.
So supposedly he's going to be involved in some way, shape, or form, and is probably only going to be around for a couple of matches.
Yeah.
Something involving SummerSlam is ideally what they're thinking, and it might be some sort of tag match to maybe help protect him in the match, so he can just get in and do a couple spots.
I guess him and Mojo wearing like football gear.
Yeah.
Against who's like anti-football.
Rude and Ziggler.
Yeah, something like that. Because they'll be like, oh no, you're just a former football star. Oh, you're not even very good.
We've been working here for
years. Yeah, you've only won like 912 Super Bowls.
Yeah, exactly. He did that. That's a true fact. I don't really have any strong thoughts about Gronk coming to WWE.
Yeah,
like I said, he really hasn't transcended into UK media at all. I don't know him at all.
I would sort of compare it to Tyson Fury, because for British fans, that was like, Tyson Fury in WWE, that's crazy. For American fans, they're going, who's Tyson Fury? It's the sort of same thing over here where I'm sure a lot of American fans, and particularly sort of fans of, I think he played for the Patriots, did he?
Yes, that sounds familiar. Patriots.
They'll be like, whoa, this is pretty crazy. That's great. I mean, he retired very young. I think he retired at 29, 30-ish.
It would have been, I'll tell you, 20, if he's 30 now, and he retired in March 2019...
He'd have been 29.
29.
So he retired very young and sort of thing. I mean, I'm sure he's set for life, whatever. But totally. I think for someone like him to then move to WWE, it's probably quite a big deal. Yeah, I mean, American football isn't really a big thing over here.
Not huge, not as big as a lot of other sports anyway.
So I'm sure it's really cool for a lot of people, or it's kind of maybe not cool, but like, oh, that's pretty interesting. And I'm sure the whole point of this is to get a bit of mainstream media attention, obviously.
Totally. Plus, he's after his retirement, he became a Fox sports analyst.
Yeah.
So it's one of the reasons why supposedly he's going to be on the show. He's going to be on SmackDown because he wants to get more eyes on Fox stuff.
He's 1'98". He weighs 120 kilos. He's
stop looking at his Wikipedia page.
To Camille Kostek.
Please stop looking at his Wikipedia page.
And he has education.
That's good. He has that. So I don't really know what he's going to be doing. Probably something with Mojo, like we said, heading into SummerSlam. Aside from that, I'm not too fussed, honestly. But I don't know why they're doing this whole thing. He hasn't signed yet, because he quite clearly has. And I think the vast majority of fans will see through that.
Yes.
Well,
anyway.
Any more thoughts on the Gronk before we move on?
It sounds like the sequel to like the Gruffalo. It's a children's series of books.
I think it sounds like an animated kids movie when it's like Meet the Gronks.
Yeah. Like what's that one called?
The Croods?
No, that's the orange guy with the yellow moustache.
Oh, I know exactly the one you're talking about. I can't think of it though.
Pete, fill for time.
Steve Carino. Anyway, let's get. Are you really searching orange cartoon, yellow moustache?
His name is the Lorax.
The Lorax.
Yes. The Gronk is the sequel to the Lorax. Pete, what else happened on this show?
Oh my God, lots of other things happened on this show. I hope they don't dress him up like Brodus Clay and call him the Gronkosaurus. I'd actually be down to see that. Change my mind.
Yeah.
I'd actually be down to see that. This episode of SmackDown, let's get into back on track, shall we? Started off with Triple H doing a promo in kind of the perch thing that they have on NXT. And he just did a very kind of candid, legitimate stuff. So, welcome to the WWE Performance Center. This is the place where everyone trains. That loads of people that you see on SmackDown have come from here. And he listed a bunch of people that are on the show: Roman, Baron, Bayley, Banks. Like all these people came through the Performance Center. Now they're coming back, and we're going to do all this stuff for them. And then he kind of opens up, "Welcome to SmackDown on Fox." Music starts playing. There's no fans. It's just some seats laid out, and it just seemed very kind of genuine. Which was nice. It was a nice way to kick it off, to just be like, hey, just so you know, this is not going to be your regular episode of SmackDown. This is going to be very different. There are no fans here. Sorry.
I mean, thinking about it, I think it's probably only really Jeff Hardy and John Cena who are on the show who haven't in some way kind of benefited from using the Performance Center, because everyone else would have either appeared on NXT at some point. I know like Nakamura was in New Japan for ages.
Daniel Bryan appeared on NXT.
Exactly, so they would have all used the facility. So it was
Bryan wouldn't have.
And he might have gone there when he was like rehabbing. I saw him. But yeah, no, it was cool to kind of do most of the people you're going to see tonight will have used this facility. And there were quite a few throwbacks. Like a lot of them mentioned, I mean, Roman Reigns, for example, I mentioned, like, oh, it's crazy to come back here and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, no, it was a nice. And it was like, it was nice that they weren't trying to pretend that people were there.
Yes.
Because I was worried that they were going to do something weird, like just have a bunch of actors.
Yeah.
Or have like background laughter, like in a sitcom or something.
Yeah. But I think that is one of the best things about this show, was they were very kind of on the nose, very light-hearted about fans not being there. A lot of like heels throughout the show were like trying to like rile up the crowd by doing the hand to the ear thing and trying to rile up the crowd that weren't there. You had Triple H just constantly firing off jokes the whole night about there not being a crowd, and he was just like the comedy relief throughout the whole show, which I'm sure we'll get into a few things that he said later on. But but to start off the show after that, we get the opening video package, etc. Bayley and Sasha Banks come out. They cut a promo about them being the best, pretty much. And through the whole thing, they're gesturing to the crowd who are there. It was quite funny. It was advertised on this show that Paige would be returning and she would be confronting Bayley.
Paige not here.
Yes. Paige not here. They went up to Cole and Triple H, and they were like, where's Paige? Why isn't she here? Blah, blah, blah. And Cole was like, she has travel issues.
Yes.
Now, that might be legitimate. It might not be. Either way, they advertised that right up till the show started. Why do that if you know she's not going to be there? Even if she does have travel issues.
I think Paige tweeted about it.
Yeah.
To say why she wasn't there. I'll have a look in a minute. But it's one of those things, like, don't advertise it. I mean, the whole point of the show was like, we're being very honest. There's no crowd here. Let's have a bit of fun. But then they still managed to throw in a bit of a lie.
I don't know. It just kind of, it really jarred with me because they were going for that very kind of honest vibe, like you're talking about, very kind of light-hearted, and then they just said, yeah, but we're just going to force advertise at the same time.
I mean, Paige did say, sorry guys, travel made it very hard for me to get to there for SmackDown with everything that's going on, completely out of my control. Very sorry, but at least Bayley is keeping you entertained. With spitting emoji face. The
gif of the person spitting out their drink because she's not actually keeping them entertained. It's a joke.
Heel.
They say that Paige is having travel issues, and then Bliss and Cross come out and say they want to fight. They've called out the Kabuki Warriors, and all they got was some weird tweets.
Exactly.
So they want to fight.
Nikki Cross says, "Oh, it's so silly. We're looking for a fight."
I actually did quite enjoy Nikki Cross's thing where she was like, "We're looking for a fight. Are we looking for a fight? We're looking for a fight." Like, kind of confirming with
she's
Bliss.
Great, and she always has been. But it was a fine match.
It was. Triple H was on commentary with Michael Cole, and that I think really emphasized that kind of we have a skeleton crew working this show vibe to it. Banks and Bayley constantly gesturing to the non-existent crowd. Was really fun. This was a pretty good match. I think they all worked pretty well together. It was good. It was good.
And the rumour is that it's going to be these two and the Kabuki Warriors in a triple threat women's tag match at WrestleMania, if it happens, when it happens eventually.
Yes. And this seemed to confirm that because Asuka came out to attack Bliss, which caused a distraction, which allowed Banks to tap out Nikki Cross. I found it hilarious that the referee didn't hear Asuka because there's no crowd to mask
it. And Triple H goes, "Oh, I didn't see her coming. She must have come through the crowd." And it's kind of like,
which was very funny.
It was funny. I had a little chuckle at that.
Yeah.
Like we said before, they were sort of very happy to kind of make fun of the situation.
Yeah, make fun of the situation. Make the best out of a bad situation is what it was. It was great. Banks tapped out Cross. It looks like we're getting that women's tag team title match, as you mentioned. After that, we got a recap of Goldberg and Roman politely agreeing to main event WrestleMania, which was nice. Roman Reigns then came out for an interview with Michael Cole in the ring. They just had two stools in the middle of the ring, came out to have a sit-down interview, and Michael Cole fist-bumped Roman, which is the whitest he's ever looked, Michael Cole.
Well, you're not allowed to shake hands, are you?
But that's the same thing. It's hand-to-hand contact. You shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, that's what you should be doing. Just give it a little elbow touch. So they come down for this interview thing, and Roman says about how he's worked for this his whole life, apart from that one time when he tried to make it in football. Not his whole life, but sure, your whole life, Roman.
There was a narrative. I don't know if you might have probably spotted it. There was a narrative on this show, which one of our website writers picked up on, was that unless you're really lazy, so pretty much everyone else is really lazy, but the reason we're here is because we're not really lazy. Everyone else is really lazy. Roman kind of made that sort of thing. Well, I mean, I'm here all the time. I work in week in, week out. I headline every single show of the week, so why shouldn't I headline WrestleMania?
Why shouldn't I headline WrestleMania? Yeah, because weekly house shows and TV shows are exactly the same as your biggest show of the year, Roman. That really annoyed me, that line.
I didn't enjoy this promo so much because it was very much like, well, no one else deserves it. I'm the best. No one cares as much as I do.
It seemed very whiny heel while trying to be a defiant babyface of him being like, I deserve this because I work all the time. It's like, so does everyone else on the roster.
Especially as his justification was, well, he's a part-timer, which is pretty much the same promo that we get for every single. I mean, that's what he was saying about Brock.
Yeah.
That's what people were saying about John Cena. That's what people say about The Undertaker when they're trying to do a promo about them. They're part-timers. They don't deserve it.
That's because they are. They are. And the other guys that are there all the time. The thing is, Roman is right in saying, not that, people are lazy, but he does deserve this because he's been working all the time. So does the vast majority of the other roster. You know who doesn't? Goldberg. He's right and also wrong at the same time. Goldberg doesn't deserve the title for the reasons he's saying, but he doesn't deserve the main event just because he's there and he works.
And John Cena cuts quite a similar, better, but similar sort of promo later in the night, which we'll discuss in a bit.
Yes. Roman says he's going to whoop Goldberg's ass and he's going to take the title back and right all the wrongs, which is essentially what he was trying to do with Lesnar as well.
Take his ass?
Beat his ass.
Oh.
And right all the wrongs and take back
names.
Take names, yeah.
Kick ass, whatever it was.
Yeah, whatever it was. But then backstage, it's Kayla Braxton.
Where?
Backstage.
Do you mean backstage?
Nope. I definitely mean backstage.
Okay.
Backstage, it's Kayla Braxton, and she's about to introduce Jeff Hardy. But first, Sami Zayn Cesaro comes in and says, "Let me welcome the new Intercontinental Champion, Sami Zayn."
Who appears to have taken laughing gas because he cannot stop laughing.
He's the best.
Yeah.
I love Sami so much. I love him. Also, laughing gas doesn't make you laugh.
Yes, it does.
Fun fact. I've had laughing gas. It does not make you laugh.
That's illegal.
It's not if you break your leg and it's a painkiller. Fun story. So he introduces Sami Zayn. They gloat about winning the Intercontinental Championship. I know you were just doing something while I was looking at my laptop because your face tells all, Datson. Sammy's just like, I know you were going to interview me. And she was like, actually, no, I wasn't. He goes, that's all right. We're going to go off and celebrate. Way, lads. And then they go off and start celebrating. She actually introduces her guest at this time, Jeff Hardy, who says, hey, it's great to be back, etc. And then King Corbin comes in and says, you're going to walk in a straight line, alcohol problems.
Hey, Jeff, have you been Corbin drinking? And he basically just makes all the kind of the police test jokes to check if you're drunk. You're going to put your finger in your nose. You're going to say the alphabet backwards. It was
pretty bad.
Not great. I get that it's a thing that they do. They sort of make fun of your weaknesses. But actually, this has been a thing that's impacted Jeff's life a lot.
And it's a very serious thing. This is someone that not only could affect his life, but other people's as well. Lots of DUIs and things like that. That affects other people's lives, not just Jeff. That's a very serious thing to make jokes about.
I get Corbin's a heel, and I get he's supposed to get this reaction from the crowd, but
it seemed a little bit insensitive to be like, welcome back, Jeff, from all your arrests and all your problems. Ha ha ha, you were drunk!
Yeah, remember that rehab you did?
Whoa.
I feel like it could have been more just where have you been? I haven't seen you in a while. Are you still, do you still wrestle? That kind of thing.
Even if it was a more subtle thing, if it was just can't wait to see you in the ring there, if you can even make it out there, kind of thing. Something like that. It doesn't say you're an alcoholic, lol, 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 lol.
Yeah.
It was more just a little subtle jab at him. I wasn't a huge fan of this one. But they've got a match later on tonight. And then backstage, this was probably my favorite storyline of the night, was Daniel Bryan goes backstage to try and find Drew Gulak. They had a recap of their Elimination Chamber match as well. And Bryan goes and finds Gulak, and Gulak's like, oh, this guy. And Bryan goes, no, I've been looking to find you. And he says that, I didn't think I actually had any holes in my game, but when we had our match on Sunday, you had a counter for everything that I did. And there was another thing that we didn't even really mention, is that Gulak didn't tap out. He passed out in the yes lock. And he says, well, if you still want to teach, I'm very much ready to listen. Yeah. And Gulak the whole time was like, oh, Bryan's all right. That was cool. Yeah. He didn't say anything, but he just had a nice little smile on his face. He was like, well, I am great. Yeah. But before he can kind of cement that kind of face turn and align himself with Bryan, Sami and Cesaro and Nakamura come in. And they run down Gulak for being a nobody, and they were saying, you know, oh, you didn't want to teach me before, and now I'm the Intercontinental Champion, I'm great, you're not, etc.
Yeah.
Bryan then gets into a verbal altercation with Cesaro. He goes to square up against Sammy, and Cesaro stands in the way and just be like, hey, you got a problem with him, you got a problem with me.
Yeah.
Bryan versus Cesaro for later on SmackDown, yes please. I'm well into this story.
Yeah, shame it wasn't a very good match. But
what?
It was very not a very good match. It just was very quick.
We have different opinions.
But what you may not have noticed, or you didn't notice, but I mentioned this earlier, was that on commentary, Triple H and Michael Cole are chatting, and Michael Cole says, "Oh, you're a very busy man, aren't you?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, very very busy for a man who's just been demoted." This was a little comment, a little shoot on the story that went round this week that I think it's been for about last 5 months, but WWE only just announced that Triple H has got a new job title where he's much more dealing with like NXT as a brand and not the actual superstars. And the story is that a lot of people backstage are seeing this as a bit of a demotion for him. He's clearly taken that to sort of...
Yes.
He's clearly seen this story and it is sort of making light of it.
And you could tell from Michael Cole's reaction as well. I think the quote he said was something just like, oh, "I'm the only I'm the only man in the history of the world that could get demoted and be busier," or something like that. And you can tell Michael Cole just started laughing and like slamming the desk because he just found it absolutely hilarious. Like
Triple H is his boss, so any joke he makes, it's
I think that was a genuine reaction from Cole. And then he was just like, "Oh, I guess we're shooting tonight," and then segued into the next thing. Bryan versus Cesaro later in the night, which is great.
And then this was weird.
And then we got a replay of the Tag Team Elimination Chamber match from last Sunday.
And not just bits of it.
Except it wasn't a replay, it was the full match. I mean, okay.
I didn't watch it again.
No, nor did I, because I'd already seen it. So, I mean, I don't know whether... Okay, I said in my edited review, there's two ways of looking at this, which is it was a time filler because they didn't have enough content to fill a 2-hour show. So they just threw in a match from Elimination Chamber and just said, have this for a bit. Or, and this is very optimistically speaking, it was a little treat for the fans who don't have the means to watch pay-per-view shows. And he said, well, you can watch a full match from the show.
Yes, I don't think that's it.
I think it's the first one. I don't think it's that. However, given the circumstances of relocating and throwing together a new show with new crowd and all the logistics gone into try and throw this SmackDown show together in the Performance Center, I'm willing to let this one slide because putting on a 2-hour show is hard enough in and of itself, and just and I know granted it's not the best solution, just be like, we'll just fill it with a replay of another match. But it's much better, the fact that they've actually put on a show at all, rather than just go, here's an episode of SmackDown, we're going to talk about all the stuff from Elimination Chamber, and throw in some replays of matches and stuff. They've actually put on a show with one match from Elimination Chamber in it.
Having said that, there will have been more people available. We saw that Nakamura was available. You could have done, after that match, you could have put on Drew Gulak versus Nakamura. There would have been people. You could have put on 2 exhibition matches, and I would have preferred that. Yeah,
I agree with that. I wouldn't want to do stuff that might compromise storylines.
No, but in that case, do 2 people who aren't in a storyline. Put on Shorty G against a heel.
We don't know who's available, though.
No.
That's the thing. We don't know who's available. We don't know what circumstances they're with, so I don't want to criticize them for not doing more on the show when we don't know what their limitations were.
Triple H against John Cena. They were both there.
Yeah, should have just done that. Perfect. Yep, for a random episode of SmackDown from the Performance Center. But they had an ad break during, halfway through that Elimination Chamber match. They came back to Cole and Triple H briefly before they threw it back to the rest of the match. And Triple H was like, well, it was quite a long match. A long enough match, in fact, just for Michael Cole to get back from his Elimination Chamber, if you know what I mean. Hey!
That's
Toilets is actually quite funny. But then after that was done, we saw Miz and Morrison retain at Elimination Chamber. It cuts to Miz and Morrison in the ring. They cut a promo saying, we're great.
Yeah, and if anyone disagrees with us, tell us.
Yep.
And if he's not the greatest in the world, tell us. And obviously there's no crowd there. It was quite fun.
It was a fun promo. They said they're great.
Yeah.
There you go.
And
There's
no
your
one
promo.
disagreed.
No one disagreed. After that, we got Bryan with Cesaro, and Gulak accompanied Bryan to the ring. Bryan was very unsure whether to do the yes chants or not, considering there was no crowd. But Gulak convinced him to do the yes chants, and they both did it together. Yes, 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 etc. It was fun. And then after that, we actually get the match, which was a good match, wasn't it?
It was fine. It just could have been longer, particularly given that they clearly had time to kill.
It was a good match. It's a very, technically, very good match because both of them are really bloody good wrestlers. Like you said, I would have loved to see more from them because I know they have another level inside, another like 7 levels on top of this. On top of this that they could do, but Cesaro looked really good in this match, and Bryan only just won with a roll up, which I thought was a nice little. It's a nice little continuation of that story that they're telling of Bryan might not be as good as he thinks he is.
Or he used to be.
Or used to be, exactly. And now he needs Gulak to help him get better again. There was a few moments where Bryan was down in the ring and Gulak was like whispering advice to Bryan, like almost like live coaching him on how to get back into the match and stuff. And then, he only just about won with a roll-up, which I thought is a really great way to continue this story. And I'm really hoping that this leads to something like Drew Gulak beating Sami for the Intercontinental title or something like that. I'd really, really like that. After he wins with the roll-up, he gets piled on by the other 3 of them. They start beating down Bryan. Gulak comes in to aid Daniel Bryan, but then he gets beaten up, and he gets the worst of the beating. He gets thrown into the steps and things like that. He's left like laid out, and Bryan's there like trying to protect him, kneeling over him, and the other 3 of them kind of walk off. I thought it was great. A huge face turn for Gulak that I thought was done really, really well, because he didn't really change all that much about him. There's a lot of heel and face turns where you're like, well, this is a completely different person that we're being presented with. Gulak feels like the same person, and everyone around him has now just realized that he's a face. He's really been a face the whole time. And it was great.
And you can't say, I think what was good here was that neither team really won. So they drew. And which is good for the storyline because you don't want Drew and Bryan to look rubbish this early. You don't want them to just stand tall above over the new Intercontinental Champion in his faction. Yeah. So it was good that there was like you attacked us, and the only reason you kind of got the upper hand was because you had an extra guy, and they sort of fought each other off, and then the limited amount of referees came in and separated them. So.
Yes. After that, we got Jeff Hardy versus King Corbin. King Corbin got a jobber's entrance already in the ring when we came back from an ad break.
Interesting.
I think he might be he might be going down the card a little bit.
There was no one to carry him on his sedan thing.
Yeah, I know. He was just already in the ring. After that, we get Jeff Hardy comes out, and they have a match.
Now, this wasn't a good match.
This was a match.
Yeah.
Elias was on commentary, and he distracted Corbin towards the end of the match. He went on guitar and started playing, and Corbin got distracted, and then Jeff Hardy hits the Twist of Fury.
Yes, because Matt Hardy has the copyright to Twist of Fate. They can't say that. However, I do think it is a new move. It is not.
There's been a heated discussion between one of our website editors and superfan Dan.
Yeah.
Dan is saying it's the same move, but they've just called it Twist of Fury.
No, it is not the same move, Dan. You're wrong. So it's quite clearly a neck breaker now, and it's not a face breaker, whatever it was.
A cutter.
Yeah, face breaker. So beforehand, it was you had one hand in, and you did that, and then there was the cutter onto the shoulder, and now it's just more of a
swinging neck breaker.
A swinging neck breaker. And then he did that, and then there was the Swanton Bomb. 1, 2, 3. Jeff Hardy gets a win on his return. I predicted this feud would happen.
It's not a feud.
It is.
It's not a feud. The feud is Corbin versus Elias. Elias interrupted Corbin last week in his interview. Elias distracted Corbin so Hardy could get the win. This is a 1-week match. The feud is Elias and Corbin. Hardy's going to go on to do other stuff. You're wrong.
I find Elias versus Corbin even less exciting.
Me too. I'm still saying you're wrong.
I'm never wrong, Peter.
You're wrong. And you know what's going to be hilarious as well?
What?
Is if Hardy comes out next week, hits the Twist of Fury, and it looks exactly like the Twist of Fate, and it was just Corbin doing a weird sell, then you're going to look like
if
an
he does
idiot.
that, I quit.
That's down. That's on video. We're doing that. Next week, if he hits that, it's just going to be me on these Saturdays from now on. Yeah, Jeff wins. Triple H then cuts another promo from the same perch where he opened the show, just being like, I hope you really enjoyed tonight's episode. Thank you so much for watching. This really has been missing its key part, and that's the fans. WWE, then, now, forever. We really need our fans. Please come back to our shows, etc. But then it's time for the final segment, which is John Cena. He comes out. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome... Who's going to welcome him? There's no one there. He comes out, Michael Cole's also there, and he cuts a vicious promo against Bray Wyatt, saying that...
Calling him basically a big moaner, and he should just...
Pretty much. He said there's been a lot of people in the past that's blamed Cena for their losses, which is true, like the Nexus. You know, that was Cena's fault.
It wasn't... No, it was the person who booked Cena to do that.
It was Cena's decision to win that match. He has said so himself.
Oh.
And Edge and Jericho have said, that was a bad choice. And even Cena's been like, probably shouldn't have won that one. Yeah.
Come on, John.
Yeah. And then he was saying, look, I beat Bray at WrestleMania 30, and it's led to this downward spiral of Bray losing and all that stuff. And he was saying, that's not my fault. That's Bray being lazy or whatever excuse he wanted to say. And then he said, I do believe that WWE should invest in the future. Bray Wyatt is not that future. He said, you should invest in McIntyre, in Ripley, in Velveteen Dream, in Tommaso Ciampa. You should not invest in Bray Wyatt. He's not the future. Oh, man. He said then that he's taken this match to remove Bray from the picture. Oh, Jesus, calm down, John Cena. God, as someone who was wholly against John Cena winning this match, I heard this promo and I was like, oh, but he's winning though, isn't he? Oh, but he's totally winning.
I don't think he is. I think he's going to lose and then be like, okay, maybe he is the future.
But no, that's too late. You've already just written him off as not the future. You've already name dropped all these other people that are the future. You can't just be like, oh, but actually he's good, isn't he?
Maybe he is the future, though.
What?
But anyway, so he cuts this, and then it just, you hear a laugh, and I can't believe they didn't notice he was there, given how quiet it was in the arena. Yeah, Bray's just sitting there, and no one spotted him.
He's not sitting, he's standing.
No, he sits and then he gets up.
He's standing.
At some point in the last 24 hours, he was sitting, and then he stood up.
He's standing by the barricade, he's standing in the crowd.
In the chairs.
Crowd. And then he's in full Mr. Rogers get up and gets into the ring, and he says, stop being so mean, John Cena. You're saying very mean things about me. And he said, you broke me when you beat me. The Fiend rebuilt me. And he was saying that he's going to right the wrongs and he's going to kill him, basically.
Yeah.
He said that John Cena's an addict for the spotlight.
So he only cares about himself as long as he gets the spotlight. You took something from me. I wanted peace from the voices. I stopped fighting the voices. The Fiend put me back together, and it's going to be a slaughter.
It's going to be a slaughter. You just don't know it yet. Let me in, etc.
Yes.
I thought this was another wicked promo. Genuinely, I don't know who's going to win at WrestleMania, because all the logical signs in my head are like, well, the Fiend. The Fiend is definitely going to win. But then there's part of me that's just like, but Cena though. So I genuinely, I'm so excited for this match. This is going to be my favorite match on the card, I think. Not necessarily from an in-ring perspective, but just because I don't know who's going to win. And that makes me really nervous and excited, and also nervous, and also excited, and also nervous.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I'm worried though, because I feel like if he loses to Cena, then the mystery and stuff surrounding the Fiend will go.
He's done if he loses to Cena.
Go back into I'm spooky but not actually very dangerous.
He'll go into a downward spiral, some might say.
Again, it'll be a repeat of the Bray Wyatt thing where he says a lot of scary stuff, but eventually loses.
Yes, that's pretty much it. So now we need to say thank you to some very special people, and that is our $25 and above backers on Patreon, our lovely pledge hammers. If you haven't gone to WrestleTalk's Patreon page yet, you should. There's some great extra perks, loads of extra bonus content, and if you pledge at the $25 or above tier, you get a custom wrestling name that gets read out on a show just like this one. So thank you to Just Incredible Edelheit. Woo! And you get yourself a cheap pop.
You do. Robin Banks, Lee Roberts.
Woo! Yes. Always leave the crowd wanting Bryan more.
Wonderful.
Very good.
Shaun of the Dead, Peril.
Woo! Yes, thank you. Brett the Hitman, Matthew Williams.
Yeah.
Thank
you. Moving Sideways, Kieran Crabtree.
Very good, thank you. We're going on a Brian Huntley.
Yes,
very good.
Marcus, he's got soul. Campbell, football joke.
It's a football joke. You'll never get this name right, you idiots. Matthew Jimjewski.
Yeah.
Very good, thank you.
Do we know if we've ever got that right?
No idea.
Okay. New Kid on the Block, Ben Newcomb.
Hey, thank you. Mr. Patreon 1000, Mike Perry.
Oh,
very good, thank you.
And the last one for this week is He Can Last Sean for Longer Than You in the Ring.
Hey, there it is. Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you for watching this episode of the WrestleTalk podcast. Please press the videos that have just appeared on the desk to catch up with the latest awesome WrestleTalk things, and this button right here that'll make you a pledge hammer on Patreon. I've been Chubba Peak. Now this has been Randy Andy Datson, and that was SmackDown.